Is it just me, or are prices going up? If that's a thought you've had recently, then you are not alone. And one big piece of why prices are up is Donald Trump's chaotic tariffs. So I've been getting a lot of questions about what's going on with Trump's tariffs. Do they really raise prices? Is this temporary, or should I be worried that costs are going to keep right on going up? And the short answer is yes, prices are up, and yes, they could keep going up. But before we get into the details, let's just take a step back for a sec. What are tariffs? Think of all the things you own: the washing machine you bought, the sweater you've got on, the shoes on your feet. A lot of those things, or the materials needed to make those things, came from other countries. Take the shoes. Maybe you're paying about $50 for the pair you're wearing. So where does the $50 price come from? It's the cost of making the shoes, shipping them from overseas, and then some extra on top of that so the company makes a profit. And here's where tariffs come in. Companies pay an extra fee when they import something from overseas. That means the company might pass on the cost of the tariff directly to you. So instead of charging $50, a 10% tariff could mean that you are paying $55. Now look, I've been supportive of targeted tariffs before because there are some good reasons to use tariffs. Look, maybe American manufacturers need some help and we want to boost jobs here at home so that everything we buy doesn't come from either China or Mexico. Or maybe because one of those countries is hurting our workers and our businesses. So we want to slap a tariff on them. But that's not what Donald Trump is doing. And trust me, I call it like I see it. If Trump were doing something good with tariffs, I would be the first to say so. So what are Trump's tariffs? Well, Trump's tariffs are across the board, meaning they apply pretty much to every country and every product that those countries sell to the United States. That is a lot of tariffs. In some cases, it's the baseline 10% extra charge to everyone. In others, it's more like 54% above that. And just to make things worse, I saw a report that said it is possible the math behind Trump's tariffs actually came from somebody typing questions into ChatGPT and using the numbers they got back to slap tariffs on essentially every country in the world, including on a group of islands whose only inhabitants are penguins. It is true. I would laugh if it weren't so terrible. So Trump's tariffs are raising costs on businesses who are passing those costs on to families. Chaotic tariffs aren't just annoying because they mean we have to keep up with Trump's 3 a.m. tweets. When Trump is putting tariffs on lumber or maple syrup or clothing, companies just can't plan for the future. No one can plan. And if they can't plan, that means they can't make investments and build new buildings and buy new equipment and hire more workers. That takes stability and growth out of our economy. Think of it this way. If you own a furniture store and you're trying to figure out whether you should expand your business, what would you do right now, knowing that there could or could not be a big fat tariff on the wood that your store needs to make desks and bed frames? A lot of people would pause that investment. And that's just one example. Maybe the owner of a diner chain decides to stop that renovation she was thinking about doing because the price of coffee and eggs could go way up from tariffs, and she's worried that will mean fewer customers. It's a mess, and it makes it difficult for small businesses and families to plan for their futures. And this part is really important. Companies can use the fact that there are tariffs to raise prices even higher. So let's go back to our shoe business. Trump's tariffs are going to make the cost of business for shoe companies a little more expensive. For the sake of this example, let's say the general cost goes up by 5%. Now, Trump is yelling from the rooftops that he's throwing tariffs on companies left and right. And if you see the price of shoes going up, you're going to assume it's because of tariffs, and you would be right. But now, if you're the shoe company, you might instead decide to raise your general costs not by 5%, but how about 8% or 10%, pocketing the extra and blaming it on tariffs. And that's not just a hypothetical. During the first Trump term, Trump put tariffs on washing machines. So what happened next? Companies hiked the price of washing machines. Okay, but the people who sold dryers hiked their prices too, even though there were no new tariffs on dryers. Why? Because they knew that families were just going to assume that prices went up on dryers because of tariffs. And listen, these CEOs are admitting it right out loud. When someone asks some CEOs of companies if they were raising prices because of tariffs, or just because the tariffs gave them cover to raise prices, one CEO actually said, and I want to quote, "It's both." And I feel a little guilty saying that. Yeah. So, are prices going up because of Trump's tariffs? The answer is yes. Since January, coffee is up 26%. Beef is up 14%. Oranges are up 17%. Bananas are up 6%. Chicken is up 6%. Chocolate chip cookies are up 5%. Potato chips are up 4%. Milk is up 4%. The price of clothing, electronics, baby strollers, up, up, up. And one of Trump's newest tariffs is on household furniture. Things like your kitchen cabinets. And yes, that is different from the tariffs on kitchen appliances that Trump slapped a 50% tariff on over the summer to make it more expensive to replace your dishwasher and refrigerator. And Trump may claim that these tariffs are going to bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States. But the facts say otherwise. In the last 7 months, manufacturing jobs in the U.S. have actually gone down.
Manufacturing lost 11,000 jobs in this recent jobs report. And one thing on this is, when you're looking at the tariffs, the big three automakers have said that right now they are absorbing the extra cost of the tariffs, and that's right now, and they're reporting losses. But those are huge companies like GM and Ford. A smaller auto parts maker, for example, in Detroit, just had to lay off 100 workers and shut down a warehouse. The owner specifically blaming tariffs, disrupting their supply chain, making goods too expensive to bring in order to make their parts. How is that, with Detroit Axle having to shut down a warehouse and fire 100 workers, how is that good for American manufacturing?
Look, Trump's tariffs are hitting another key group of Americans hard too, and that's American farmers. Here's what's happening to our farmers. First, Trump's chaotic tariffs mean that our farmers are paying more for fertilizer and paying more for their farm equipment. So that's one. But the higher prices don't stop there. Farmers are also facing what we call retaliatory tariffs from other countries. In this case, other countries aren't buying as many things from American farmers. And the result? Those farmers are losing billions of dollars because they are losing foreign customers. When he ran for president, Donald Trump promised over and over and over that he would lower costs on day one. His words, on day one. Well, we're more than 250 days in and costs are up. And make no mistake, they are up because of these tariffs and also because Trump and the Republicans have just passed a bill to cut health care for 15 million Americans, meaning the cost of health care is bound to skyrocket. So, if you're someone who cares about lowering costs, things are not looking great right now. But I'm going to stay in this fight because families deserve lower prices.